Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever in this beautiful world you amazing people are, and welcome to Sem-May World News Daily. This is Bulletin 7, today being the 9th of October 2025. These are your headlines. 5 detained for alleged assassination of Ecuador's president. Telecoms outage in Australia leads to deaths. The EP moves to ban the use of meat names for veg products. Israel and Hamas agreed to the first phase of US Gaza peace deal. Fuel prices in SA hit a 4-year low. Let's start the news off in South America for today. And 5 people have been detained after an alleged attempted assassination of Ecuador's president. About 500 people threw rocks at the car of President Daniel Noboa, and there were signs of bullet damage on his vehicle. A video shared with the BBC by the president's office shows protesters throwing rocks at a car and 3 small holes in one of the car windows. There is yet to be confirmation that a bullet was fired. Now, given this, how do you go about choosing 5 people from 500 people to say, okay, you fired the shot? Do you look at them and say, you don't look like you can throw a rock? I think that's so insulting. The president's office confirmed that Noboa was not hurt, at least not physically. Let's go to Australia now, and one of Australia's biggest telecommunications companies sent emails about a deadly outage to the wrong email address at the Department of Communications, where they remained unread for a day. Optus is the communications company. So Optus's emails also underplayed the severity of the 18th of September outage, which has been linked to 3 deaths as people could not reach emergency services. The first email was sent at 14:45, 2:45 that day, and a second one 7 minutes later to say it had been fixed and 10 calls only were affected. In fact, more than 600 calls to emergency services had failed over 13 hours. Authorities only learned about the outage the next afternoon, more than 36 hours after it began from the industry regulator. Now, look, at least an email was sent out. There are places in the world where services go down for months and the providers act like it's just part of their job description. This is Australia. Are there so many people still making calls in Australia? I mean, 600 calls in less than a day. Do emergency services not have apps down there? I think, being emergency services in this era, there should be alternative ways to make contact as well. Here's having a look at Europe, and while the US is struggling, multiple failed votes to reopen an entire government, the European Parliament, also known as the EP, has voted to ban the use of words like burger or steak to describe their plant-based variants. The 355 to 247 majority vote is seen as a victory for livestock farmers who say the labels threaten their industry and livelihoods. A full ban, however, is not imminent or even certain, as the proposal needs the backing of the European Commission, which is the EU's executive arm, as well as the governments of the 27 member countries to become law. The plant-based food industry has grown exponentially in recent years, with more people opting for meat-free lifestyle. And because of this, I feel the livestock farmers are just becoming a bunch of crying babies. I mean, no meat lover is going to opt for a veg patty just because it says burger on it. Here's going to North America now, and US President Donald Trump says Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of his Gaza peace deal. It's the sanest thing he's said all term. The agreement would see the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners, the withdrawal of Israeli forces, and the entry of aid into Gaza. Israeli's government will meet at 2 p.m. Jerusalem time. The time now in Jerusalem is 10:42, quarter to 11, which is 2 p.m. Jerusalem time will be 11 a.m. GMT. And if formally approves the deal, a ceasefire will go into effect. The US says all the remaining Israeli hostages would be released on Monday. Hamas confirmed the deal, but a Palestinian source reported that it has not yet received the final list of prisoners that Israeli plans to release in exchange. So many agree that while this is a significant moment, there is no guarantee that a peace deal for Gaza will happen, as crucial details still need to be worked out. Here's closing it in South Africa for today, and the oil price in rands has hit a 4-year low due to the weakening of the dollar amid the US government shutdown and weaker international oil prices as supply rises and demand slows. I think it was a day or two where a lot of investors were taking their assets and putting them into other investments, and that sort of strengthened the dollar a bit. But we see that the continued shutdown is having a negative effect on the dollar currently. So this should translate into lower petrol prices for South African motorists in November, but a lot can still change by then. Of course, if the Democrats and the Republicans can come to an agreement, the US government will reopen and the dollar should start strengthening again. However, the price of oil in rands is not the only determinant of the price for fuel in South Africa, with the taxes making up an increasing share of the final price at the pump. So the data shows the following cuts are expected for November if the rand's current strength holds and the oil price remains stable. Petrol will see a decrease of 47 cents per litre. Petrol 93, that is. Petrol 95 will see a decrease of 45 cents per litre. Diesel 0.05%, decrease of 11 cents per litre, and diesel 0.005% will show a decrease of 10 cents per litre. That's the news for today. Until we meet at this stream again, wishing you a prosperous, healthy and safe life ahead. For Sem-May World News Daily, my name is Colin Pillay.